Welcome to Wednesday, Secular Soapbox Day here at the Skeptic Haven Network. Today we're going to be discussing Christofascism. Today's special guests will be Andy Hall, Captain Dadpool, and Rion. We will also be joined by my co-host, ex-Fundy Stacy. Let's start the show.
The reason we had so many overreaching regulations in our nation is because the church complied. The church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church. That is not how our founding fathers intended it. And I'm tired of this separation of church and state junk that's not in the Constitution. It was in a stinking letter, and it means nothing like what they say it does.
Maybe we need to have some sort of legislation that requires constitutional life and biblical citizenship training in our schools, and that's how we get things turned around. But there has to be real leadership from the Republicans, especially now.
Wow. What a treat she is. Holy cow. Welcome to the panel, everybody. Ex-Fundy Stacy, welcome back. Co-hosting. Hi. Rion, welcome to the show. Andy Hall, of course, always nice to see you, buddy. Captain Dadpool is back. Welcome back, sir. So, holy cow, Christofascism. This is a topic. What is it? What does it mean for us? Where are we headed? Why don't we start with what it is? What is it? Who wants to start off on that one?
Let me just first say that I would love to challenge Lauren Boebert to a biblical literacy test.
Oh, please.
And say the winner gets to stay here, the loser gets to go. Have to leave the country. So
she'd probably just rage quit, unfortunately.
If you had a biblical literacy test for citizenship, you'd have like a bunch of atheists, and like all the Christians would have to leave.
No kidding.
True.
Indeed.
Maybe we should make this happen.
You heard it here. We're going to start it right now.
Yep.
Who wants to sign up?
I just was having flashbacks, actually, to what I used to hear at church quite often.
They used to preach a lot of that at your church?
Yeah, and I used to hear a lot of that just from stuff I would listen to.
How's it feel being on the outside, seeing all that?
It's surreal. It's very surreal and quite nauseating. Very nauseating. Yeah. I'm glad it's not something that I need to listen to anymore or want to. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now you just turn off the television.
It is. Yeah, it's gross. Yeah.
I don't want to live under that kind of regime again. I left the cult. I left Christianity for a reason. I don't want to go back there. We shouldn't have to go back. I mean, it shouldn't even be like, I don't get why it's even a discussion, why this isn't being squashed, but here we are. Here we go. Left unfettered. It just grows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Captain Dadpool.
Yes.
What is Christofascism?
Christian fascism or Christian nationalism is the idea that the founding fathers founded the country and believed that it should be basically a Christian nation. Like they used Judeo-Christian principles and everything in order to forge the Constitution and all that, and it's just demonstrably false. So what's happening is you have all these politicians that are bastardizing what the founding fathers actually wanted and what they actually wrote in favor of this Christian nationalist view that they did not hold.
Do you know what letter she speaks of when she's talking about we have a letter or they have a letter?
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson. He's the one who said to believe in the separation of church and state. Or, hey, maybe the First Amendment. That's what she was talking about. I had to pull it up because I don't have it memorized. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Congress shall make no law respecting establishment of religion. Congress shall not.
It's hard to understand.
It's
not what they meant.
it's not straightforward at all. It's not. So yeah, if you're going to say it's not actually talking about that, then what are you reading?
Well, it's just like
they're
when
all
they read
about
the
the
Bible.
Second Amendment. They can quote the Second Amendment to you by heart. Don't fucking touch our Second Amendment, or we're going to start a civil war. But the First Amendment, what's that? I can't. Yeah, they don't give a shit about the First Amendment.
They know it inside and out, but that First Amendment is so pliable.
I think it's important to flesh out what fascism is in general, and that is it's an authoritarian form of government, typically centered around the cult of a leader. The individual is submerged to the group. It's irrational, and I would say, and I'll be bold with that, it is incredibly stupid, as are all authoritarian regimes, in comparison to neo-free regimes like we have in the U.S. or in Western Europe. And of course, it's also racial in nature. And it also, most fascist regimes look back to this fictitious past where things were all puppy dogs and rainbows before they were stabbed in the back by some minority group. And that's what basically fascism is. With Christofascism that we have here in the States, it's basically Christian-tinged fascism.
And it's infiltrating our government really fast lately. Supreme Court for one. That's when it gets real scary, is when the highest court in the land starts voting.
Amendment.
All words are made up.
Is that a word?
Good point. All words are definitely made up.
Yeah.
Why can't we add? Anyways.
The way she was speaking just it made me angry, because she's we really need Republicans to intervene.
And her face is kind of like she's sucking on something really sour.
And I don't like making.
I'm
not like, it's not like her looks. It's just she was just so excited about it. Like, honey, if you had it your way, you wouldn't be voting. Like, you'd be out of the government. Like, trust me. As soon as they get their claws in there, you're going to be out the door. Nobody's voting for you. Those guys aren't voting for you. I don't know what she's fighting for.
So
once again, fascists are typically stupid too. So they don't really understand what they're doing. They don't. They understand, the tactics. They understand, the day-to-day activities. That this is what we do to win, but they don't understand that, like, within 10 years or 50 years of actually having a fascist regime, the whole society is going to ground to a halt. In terms of science, in terms of the economy, you end up looking like in Iran or Venezuela or another kind of authoritarian country. That does not work. It becomes a failed state, which just happens to be, failed states are wonderful for religious fanaticism. It isn't a glitch of the system. It is a feature of the system to make sure that the state fails. So whenever you hear a Republican talk about limited government, that is exactly the speed lane to get to a fascist state, a religious theocratic state.
Good questions. Have we ever had that separation of church and state? Have we ever had that? I mean, way back when we started this whole idea of it, the concept of it, was there actually a separation of church and state? I know nowadays it's not really. I mean, in God we trust is on our government money. I mean, that's not really separated.
That one. I don't know how to answer that one. Honestly, it's like so intricate. It's just, I feel like it's not so cut and dry or black and white.
That's something that would creep up on you. Like, I'd say, probably pre-revolution.
Maybe there was some safe space.
It was pretty good. Pretty strong.
Maybe.
For about a week, we had something.
There's a few days, a little vacation for a few days.
And then it started creeping its way in little by little.
Started hanging witches again, Didn't take long.
I would say that the process has accelerated since the 1980s because the economic system, the tax system here in the States actually incentivizes authoritarianism and oligarchy. Before the Reagan tax cuts, it was much more we looked more like Western Europe in terms of our tax system. But what happens is that when all the money goes to the rich uses that to undermine democracy, our institutions. This is what happens when you have 40 years. Can I swear? Can I swear?
so.
Because I'm about to drop.
Just a little. Why not? Throw a little in there.
Okay, so this
Cover your
is
ears,
what
everybody.
happens when you have like 40 years of shit policy. This is exactly the logical. This is exactly the logical culmination of what happens.
Well, how do you feel about taxing the churches, Ryan?
Yeah, I definitely feel like that money could go to a hell of a lot better places, versus into rich people's pockets. I honestly just think it's a way to launder money. I can't say that I'm right, but I really feel like that's all that it is. It seems like it comes in. Oopsie, touched a button. It comes in and flows right out, and where it goes, nobody knows. There's no visibility. There's no transparency with what's happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of times when churches have extra money, they use it to colonize by giving it to missionaries to go to other places and spread their religion. And they churches, but my church that I went to, like 2/3 of its income went to missionaries. Yeah. And they bragged about that openly. Like, this was such a great thing. We're blessing the planet with our funding, and that's what they do with their money.
Blessing the planet.
Yeah. One thing I was just reminded of is I used to go to a lot of Joyce Meyer conferences, and I know. And one thing that she would do at every conference, whether it was her women's conference or just her weekend conferences, she always did and it was very patriotic. It's like it came across that way. And she would do almost like a history lesson on the United States. And she made it look, her husband actually would do this lesson. And it was every Friday morning during that weekend. And it made it sound like the United States was built as a Christian nation. And I went to, I think, 4 conferences over 12 years. And every time it was exactly the same. And it just, even so, I'm Canadian, and it just really brought up even just feelings for me, wow, this is so amazing. America was founded as a Christian nation, so it really just drove that point home to people who would come from all over the world. So wow. Yeah. So, and it happened every weekend. And like I said, I went over many years and it was every time. So she's doing these conferences multiple times a year all over.
Yeah.
And
people eat it up. People believe
exactly.
it. She's a leader. They're going to believe every lie she throws at them. That's just disgusting.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. So, and it was very well produced.
The people donating really think their money is going to help somebody. When they're there. Yeah. Yeah. When they're there, they're helping people in the community and clothing and da-da-da-da-da. And I had a friend on my show at one point, and he was talking about how they took a picture of him giving a gift to a child, and then after the picture, the gift had to come back because they weren't allowed to give gifts to the kids. And I was like, this is a scam. This is all a scam.
Oh my gosh.
This is horrible. Right?
I know the pastor she's talking about.
Really?
Bryce, Canada. Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Canada does, yes, in Alberta and near me in Ontario. One pastor in Aylmer. Aylmer? Sounds like Elmer, but with an accent. Aylmer is good friends with Pastor Locke.
Okay, he's crazy. Pastor Locke.
Locke is the worst. He's one of the worst.
That pastor she's talking about, I think in Aylmer, I think that's the one that made the news last year during all the lockdowns and during COVID and everything. And I think he protested by not closing his church and was arrested.
That's the guy.
And he has a beard. There was 2 pastors here in Canada. There was one in Alberta and then one in Ale. I think that's the one. And Canada became, there was a lot of trickle up effect. It felt like from the Trump era into Canada that we were what is going on? This is not like our country. And that nationalism has kind of crept in since Trump and COVID. So
I don't I don't know about y'all, but I don't know how you feel about the inference of to be it almost feels like they're saying to be patriotic in America, you have to be Christian. And I just, I'm not
I don't
religious,
like
but I think
that.
that's so disrespectful to the community of people who live in this country, the different
who
cultures,
are proud of just being like
right,
an American
who are
citizen,
right,
proud of that. Yeah,
Well,
I can understand
that's
that.
totally a
you're
feature.
not good enough, honey.
Yeah.
Once again, that's a feature of fascism and of Christianity and of other monotheistic religions, is to create an outgroup. If you have an outgroup, then the people who are in the in-group don't get to notice how much their leaders are screwing them over, because all the attention is on the outgroup.
Yeah.
They create a mold that you're expected to fit. Like, look at every Trump rally. They all look the fucking same. They're all dressed the same. They're flying the same flags. They're driving the same vehicles.
Yeah.
Like, they've created, you have to be Christian. You have to wear red, white, and blue everywhere possible. You have to love Trump. You have to fit in this mold, or you're not a patriot. You don't want to not be a patriot, don't you? You're a patriot, right? Well, then fall in line.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the game.
And then you get that hive mind where you just feel like you've got to fit in, like with the mob. I mean, I don't feel that anymore, but absolutely, when I was a Christian, what the dude on the podium was saying, I was, I don't want rights.
Congregation with 300 other people, and they're raising their hands. You're going to raise your hand too. It's
right,
because you don't want to stand out.
No, because people are, and they train you to. They train you to look for other people's imperfections and like rat on each other. At least that's how it was for my call. Now, I did not do that, because I was hoping for the same in return, which thankfully never happened. But yeah, people would readily just rat you out, because that's how it was done. That's how you keep the hive clean, I guess, is make sure you make it a mockery and shaming somebody, so everybody else knows, like, that could be you. That could be you.
That's happening to me right now.
Excommunicated. Get out.
Oh yeah, I've been shunned. I'm being shunned. Yep.
Oh, we're being shamed every week from the pulpit right now.
Oh no, really?
They're literally.
Yeah.
Stop it. They're like, are they saying like your name and stuff?
They are. Well, they from YouTube. Yeah, and it was published on YouTube.
No.
Now they're just saying. Now they're just saying the family that's being disciplined, because I have said something publicly. I haven't said their name, so they're like, ooh. So, yeah, we're not officially excommunicated, but it's happening every week still. So, yeah,
that sucks. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So. Yeah, and I keep saying this isn't for our benefit. It's just to make a display so that other people know, oh, we don't want this to happen to us.
Yeah.
They're scared. That's what it is. They're scared.
Exactly. And the kids sit in the service from ages 3 and up. So it's like they are learning from a young age. Oh, I don't ever want to do that.
They prime you for it. I mean, from a child, you are just primed to accept all these bad things that happen to you inside of the church, and it's your fault somehow. And you just accept it because this is what has been fed to you. It's so sad. Poor kids.
It's
like,
ridiculous.
of course.
Well, that's why you see a lot of you see a lot of QAnon people as Christians who are Christians. They've been primed to be not really having too many critical thinking skills, or to follow leaders, and to go along blindly. They're, especially evangelical Christianity, they are just willing to take this kind of QAnon nonsense applied and sink.
Yeah. Stacy, do you have any family members still in the church?
Yes, I do. Yep, I have people not from that denomination, like that we converted to like Reformed, which on our way out, but I still have like my grandmother who is Christian, and she's charismatic. Yeah, but she's fine with, like, she'll still send me devotionals and stuff, and like try to, she still loves me and stuff. But we went to a pretty Reformed church that is heavy on the discipline, but we don't care. But
make it make sense. I don't. I could never just pick up the New Testament and read through it and really feel like it's that serious. Like I mean, I know there's some like serious stuff in there, but I don't get that kind of like Jesus and the apostles were. I mean, even with Judas, if you believe that whole story, like he wasn't even being rude to dude who handed him over. Like, come on now. He wasn't disciplining him. He was just kind of like, he's gonna get what he's gonna get.
Yeah, no. Reformed is pretty intense. So, yeah.
You know, I see in a question from Wes, curious on the panel. Do you have any advice how to stop this kind of movement? And I was going to say this earlier, but you got to go out and vote. You got to make sure that you're still that you're registered to vote. And you got to make sure that your name is still on the register. You know, you should touch base with your town hall if you're living here in the States, just to make sure that you're registered. And if you're not registered, then you got to go out and vote. You got to get yourself registered.
Absolutely,
that's the one most important thing you can do.
Yeah. It doesn't solve everything, but right now it's the easiest thing we have to just maintain some kind of level of.
Write your senators, call your senators. Yeah, for sure. They have phone numbers.
Yeah. I'm constantly texting, tweeting, emailing, that kind of stuff. I mean, even if it's just a drop in the water, a bunch of drops will eventually hopefully make some changes. Yeah,
hopefully.
It's important.
Yeah,
it's important to point out that you know, major governmental policies are managed or initiated by small groups of very vocal people. When you look at fascist movements, typically they are small groups who are very loud and have a lot of money, and they're able to convince a lot of people to follow them. So if you think that your voice doesn't matter, that is incorrect. That is what they are telling you. That is what they want you to feel. Your voice matters.
And I think it's important to make sure that where we are donating, putting our money when it comes to relief efforts or things of that nature, because I know 100% for certain that, like, if you're donating money to the Jehovah's Witnesses, it is not ever going to a relief effort. No, they expect their members are the ones who are providing the relief and the donations and stuff. Now, if there's some kind of government kickback, they might get that and pass that down. But I don't trust nobody with my money. Doesn't mean I don't donate, but I make sure that it's going to the relief effort it says it is, because again, with tithing churches, where the extra money is going, you do not know. And I don't trust them as far as I can throw them.
Absolutely. These politicians in general, speaking of them, the Christian fascism, that the nationalists that are in power right now, what are some of the things that they are actually doing to push their agenda? I mean, I don't follow the news too much, but I hear little bits here and there.
What's the blonde one? She's driving me nuts right now.
Marjorie.
Taylor
Green.
Oh my! She is so such annoying. A simp for Donald Trump. Like, she would be a butt plug if she could be. I swear to God. No. I'm not. Come on, it's apparent. Donald Trump this and Donald Trump that. And I would just love if Donald Trump would back me, and his haters, and he should have been rated. And blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's sick. It's sickening. That's her whole platform is Donald Trump.
Yeah. We all know where
that's the one that's the one I see a lot of. And I'm not Republican, but I certainly see a lot of her.
Question from the group here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
No, you're about to say something really smart. I interrupted you.
Are you two Canadian?
Was I? That's a lot of. Are you sure? On me right now. Anytime that you hear a politician talk about limited government, every single time that you hear about cutting taxes, especially on the rich, anytime you hear about pro-life, right? Those are basically strategies, tactics to bring about this kind of failed state. Christofascist reality. These are just ways for them to get what they want.
Keeping people poor is a great way. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Also true.
I'd say taking control of the narrative. If I highly encourage anyone to study Joseph Goebbels, or was it Goebbels?
1984. That's what you're thinking.
He was Hitler's chief propagandist. And he was given tons of power, and what he did was he demonized the media. He held book burnings. He took over the theater. Like he fired any actress or anybody that would not produce a propaganda-ish film. And they banned any movie. So one thing, like Hitler and this guy Joseph, they were big fans of American cinema, but nobody was allowed to watch them. But Hitler kept them for himself but nobody else.
Stingy.
So of course, so they demonized these actresses and books. They held book burnings, all this. Of course, you can't do that here because you have the freedom of press. So what do? They attack the opposing news feeds. They attack the Hollywood liberal elites.
Well, they buy them.
Feed you all this, so they demonize.
How many
them.
networks have they bought?
Ooh, that's scary too.
They got the money.
A lot of local stations.
There's only so many news stations. I mean, really, your best bet is maybe looking at your local ones, but the big ones.
Well, the local stations have been commandeered. Many of them have been commandeered by right-wing, companies. John Oliver did, I believe it was John Oliver, did a nice piece on this on his show.
Love that guy.
Legitimate news sources like the BBC on the is great. I like the Guardian. A lot of British news analysis. The Economist. I think those are legitimate.
Yeah.
BBC's good. John Oliver's, man, that guy's such a badass. I like that guy.
On fire, that guy. The guy's on fire.
So
I wish
awesome.
my brain worked like that.
Right. Man, he's so
we
cool.
have none. We have none.
We got go say something smart, Andy.
So Republicans you can tell when I'm chomping at the bit on this. Republics have a tendency of committing suicide. The founding, the people who wrote the Constitution knew that, and that's why they decided to do a system of government that was very inefficient. Once again, that's a feature of the system and not a glitch, because they thought that if things were so inefficient, it would be difficult for a central power to take control of everything. But Roman Republic fell into the Roman Empire. You had Weimar Germany during the 1920s. They fell into Nazi Germany. You have Iran during the 1970s, which was on its way of becoming a free society, but fell apart during the Iranian Revolution. Time and time again, we see this kind of dance or this horrible dance macabre, if I'm going to use that term, of republics just falling apart. And this, Donald Trump's rise, has been a textbook example of that, of a fascist leader rising through the ranks, of just coming up on the scene. People think he's a joke. They thought Idi Amin, who was a dictator in Uganda, they thought he was a joke too. They thought Benito Mussolini was a joke, until they start filling ditches with bodies.
God, sorry.
Well, hope we don't reach that. That's for sure.
Jesus.
By the
way,
thanks, Andy.
By the way, I'm the comedian of the group. I just want to let everyone know that.
Andy does have the comedy.
I gotta go cry for him.
When I'm not doing this, I actually write comedy. So much happier.
It's not all. Yeah. Thanks, Andy. Thanks for bringing it down a note for us.
What I want to say is, I know I spend a lot of time like dogging out Christianity. I know that I do.
It's so
but
easy.
I know.
Well, they make it easy. They make it so easy. But the truth of the matter is, if this all wasn't happening, if I just removed myself from the religion and I just read this book, the New Testament, and took it for what it was, I'd be like, oh, that's some pretty cool stuff. Like, some really cool stuff happened. The guy came out of it. People rallied around him. I mean, nothing really happened after that, but people seemed to be happy enough. Just the thought that he was going to come back seems pretty cool. I just think that this country is making Christianity look so extreme that just saying that you're a Christian, at some point, people are going to look at you and go, well, are you that kind of Christian? Like, everybody to me is like, now, at least I feel like, if you're a Christian, are you that kind of Christian? I'm questioning, how did we take a religion that really, to me, seems fairly peaceful with the written words, and it's just a damn weapon. It's a machine that's been used since slavery.
the last time I was on this channel, I think I was arguing to be for angry atheism, and I think I'm just gonna go with this. The reason why Christianity is considered to be a nice religion in comparison to like Islam, for example, is because Christianity bled Europe white for 30 years during the 30 Years' War, and because they had religious wars and countries just fighting each other time after time after time. And the only reason why Christianity is not Islam today is because of the secular state coming in and breaking the back of the church. It is as simple as that. Christianity is not a nice religion. It is not on its surface nice. It is only because of the secular state stepping in. I think I just did my Christopher Hitchens angry monologue without the classical references.
Trust me, I completely get exactly where you're coming from. If none of this was happening and I just read that book, I was an alien from outer space, I'd be like, okay, that's some interesting literature, and like keep it pressing. But you look like a damn maniac, like a megalomaniac. Christianity is just rearing its ugly head. Like I would compare it to Babylon the Great, and I think Babylon the Great was pretty fucking cool. But I'm just saying, if anything was Babylon the Great, it's Christianity the entity. Ugh.
Next question: which denomination do you think is the great job, Brian? Which denomination or movement do you think is the major force behind Christofascism, as we're currently experiencing it? Which denomination specifically do you see more of?
Oh,
Can I answer some?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Please.
I think the NAR. I don't know if you're familiar with like the New Apostolic Reformation.
No, actually.
Which is very charismatic, but I think like Bethel Church.
Ooh.
I think that kind of denomination. So they're all kind of wrapped into one word of faith, but the New Apostolic Reformation, we're at the Seven Mountain movement or Seven Mountain mandate, where they want to take over like the government, education. Andy knows what I'm talking about.
The Dominionists.
The Dominionists, yeah, but that actually comes from like the NAR as well, which is what I kind of broke away from ish in before I became a Calvinist, and so
I love talking to Calvinists. You guys have such a great system.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a Calvinist anymore, but right. I went from like charismatic to Calvinist, and I just thought they were crazy, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is nuts. And now I think everything's crazy. It's all one and the same. Yeah. But I think it really comes from that movement. That's really pushing it. The people that Donald Trump surrounds himself with, a lot of them are from that dominionist theology. Yeah.
Scary.
So, yeah, like Lance Wallnau. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Andy knows everything. It's
okay.
Smartest man in the room. Andy walks in, it's him.
Right? Damn. I don't know anything.
Guaranteed.
Well, cheap plug for Andy Hall. I've been blogging for well over a decade, and now I'm over at Only Scott. You can look me up for humor.
There you go.
All right, I'll check it out.
Smart and funny, ladies.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's got to be some really rich, powerful people behind half of these damn religions.
Oh yeah.
That like are probably got their foot in this religion, their foot in that religion. Like the leaders of the J-Dubs, like the governing body that runs them. These dudes are, I'm sorry, but they're not very smart. So I cannot see them running this huge operation. I guarantee there's got to be some businessmen, some CEOs or something. I don't know who. I'm not talking like.
You raise an interesting point, because there were a lot of people, there were a lot of business interests, a lot of people who had money who thought that they could control Hitler back in the 1920s and the early 1930s. And wrong, right? Just wrong. And it's the same idea with American business people now. they think that they can kind of control and manage Christofascism, but there is no Christofascism is this meme that's just crazy and devours everything. And business leaders would discover that they would be playing second fiddle pretty quickly in a Christofascist regime, just as just as any other authoritarian regime, they are secondary to the power.
I have a question I'd like to ask y'all.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is something I don't know if I'm struggling with, or maybe I just want some more input on it. But when it comes to, I don't even know how to put it. I feel like at this point, Christians need to hold other Christians accountable. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, that's not my like." I constantly see Christians in comment sections. I'm not that kind of Christian. Like, okay, you need to start being a good kind of Christian and like speaking up at the moments where you see like shit going down and stop being silent. But am I being wrong? I don't know, but I feel like I'm not wrong, but I
do hear some. I mean, very, very few. I don't really know a lot, but I do hear some every once in a while speak up against it. Well, these aren't real Christians, that no true Christian shenanigans. They like to
they'd all say that about each other, though.
Yeah,
right.
Back and forth, no matter who.
Yeah.
Right.
Sad,
but that's not going to cut it anymore. Just saying
No.
they're not like, oh, that's not.
Yeah.
No, you're going to have to start taking accountability for your bro. Like, I know it's not your bro, but you're going to have to, like, your brother in Christ.
Brother in the Lord. Yeah.
You need to reign your brother in Christ. Just like if a dude sees another dude misstepping and maybe like hitting his, like I would think any male would be like, oh, hell the fuck no, you're not going to put your hand on somebody. Like, I kind of feel like Christians need to start having that visceral reaction with like, oh, hell the fuck no, my Jesus wouldn't be standing for that shit. Because I mean, who am I to them? They think I'm fucking Satan incarnate. So maybe hearing it from their Christian brethren might kind of shake their balls a little bit and have them stand back. I don't know.
How do you feel, Stacey? You're the most recent deconverter.
Party. I think from my experience, like the Calvinists think that the other Christians aren't worshiping the same Jesus. They think they're well, you're not even worshiping the same Jesus because you're not even worshiping. You don't even know that that's not even the same gospel. So it's not the same Jesus.
Oh my God.
So
they love the excuses. Like, here to heaven. They
so
have excuses.
That wouldn't even really work necessarily. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point that you make.
Personal Jesus. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point that you make, is that when you have these when fascists take over, when you have these religious theocrats take over, what they do is they start devouring people within their own clique, but people who are less radical than they are. You saw it in like the French Revolution, for example. So you have like the initial religious takeover of a country, or let's say Christofascists take over, and then there would be the so this is not only a Christo-fascist, but did you know that this was a Protestant fascist religion system that we have here? And so you would have this kind of like, it isn't just one revolution. It's one revolution nestled in another revolution, nestled into another revolution, and eventually end up as something like Iran, what they have. Or you have something like what happened in France with Napoleon. There were several small revolutions that eventually ended up in a dictatorship.
Well, I for one am not for a civil war. I don't feel like fighting anybody, honestly.
No, but some of these people want it. Sounds like it.
Wow. What are we gonna do? I can't go out there and fight. I'm not that kind of person. I like
right. Like, I'll fight with scriptures. Like, okay, let's go toe to toe.
Let's have a conversation.
Right. I'm cool with that. But
you can shoot me all you want, but you're still a fucking idiot. Yeah, shoot me, go ahead, but that's not going to change the fact that you're an idiot. It's going to make you feel better. Go for it.
Yeah,
it's not going to love you anymore.
Question for the panel: what's your favorite theocracy?
Oh, sheesh!
Wow,
so many to choose from.
Oh, I don't know.
I do not have an answer.
It was I think it was the First Crusade. They were surrounding Jerusalem, and I forget the commander. They were talking about going in and just killing everybody. And one of the crusaders goes to the commander, goes, "That doesn't sound right." And the commander goes, "God will know his own." And so I would say that in terms of there's a lot of craziness in the Crusades. So I know that's common. That's a common thing to say in the Crusades, right? But I'm going to go with that.
How much logic was there? That's what I want to know. How much logic was actually
all in the midbrain, brother? It's all in the midbrain. There's no logic up here. It's all down here.
Oh man. Question also for the audience or the panel here. What does the Canadians think of the U.S. theocracy attempts? Does Canada have any of these problems?
That's a good question. Well, I don't think we've had any. The only thing I've been thinking about that's been the most that we've had is the whole truckers rally, which isn't really, that's the biggest thing that we've had where they tried to overthrow the government. And that was just this past January, where the truckers started in the west coast of Canada where I live. I live close to Vancouver in British Columbia. And so they started and they went across and they went to Ottawa. And so they didn't like all the COVID restrictions. And so they were going to overthrow, and it was ridiculous.
Snowflakes.
And that was something, and I was, literal snowflakes. It was in winter. And they camped out in the city of Ottawa and made things a nightmare for the people who lived there, and they left their garbage, and they literally were like, we want our freedom. And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, you're setting up hot tubs and sound stages and you're not being arrested. And
Looney Tunes.
Exactly. It's like, you have your freedom. No one is stopping you, and you're totally free to do this, and you're looking like idiots. And so that lasted for about 2 or 3 weeks where they just camped out. So, and they did try to overthrow the government and our democracy.
It's have a persecution complex.
There it is.
Also,
there it is.
It's also one of those things that's just been imbued in you since you're a child. Like everything's
I know. And I thought the same. I was like, well, they persecuted Jesus. They're going to persecute me.
They love it.
Yeah, because that's what they say.
Yes. Jesus,
so every time you're faced against something, it's like, oh, nuts today, Satan.
Oh, exactly. I had a cup. I had a mug that said that.
Not Satan's like, what?
Persevere.
I don't even know who you are.
And the more you're persecuted, that means the better Christian you are.
Exactly.
Yep.
The more
it's like
you
fail
are.
safe.
It wasn't that something that Mother Teresa used to say, that something about suffering.
Andy? What's the
if
phrase?
You're going to graph it out.
Closer to God.
I was going to try to go. I was going to go with the graph in terms of a positive relationship between suffering and how good you are with God.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was just me doing.
I thought you had the quote.
No, but it's something like that where they feel like the more that you suffer, like God, it's almost like they're trying to see themselves as Job. Maybe like the worse you're suffering, like God's watching, going, "Oh, just wait,
Job, Paul, Jesus."
Paul bragged about how much he was persecuted. Like
he loved it,
right?
Oh, hit me again!
Oh, hit me again!
Everyone's face. Persecute me harder, Daddy.
It's a feature of the system. It's not a glitch.
It's a feature.
Thus I saith unto thee, persecute me harder, Daddy.
So is that?
Oh my gosh!
Do you guys think that's where a lot of this nationalism, Christian nationalism, try and take over is coming from? Because they feel so persecuted, like they don't have any goddamn freedoms, like their schools.
The damn TikToks. How many TikToks do I see every day where they're like, they pretend somebody walks into the room and demands that they say that they're Christian, and they just stand up.
Ugh.
I'm a Christian. Shoot me.
Happy holidays.
Well,
right. It's Christmas.
He hates Jesus.
It's not. I was 15. No, I was 15 when the Columbine shooting happened, and I think was it a real story but I remember hearing that someone was shot because they were a Christian. I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember. Was it okay? But I remember hearing that story, and I was like, well, one day I might be shot for my faith, and I might have to. So I was
told
prepared
that as a
at
kid.
15.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was like, okay, I will have to die. I have to be prepared for someone to stick a gun to my head, and I will have to die for that.
Scary.
Yes, but that's what you're told.
Yeah, I was
So
the whole firing squad thing. If they ask you if you're a Christian, make sure you take that bullet.
Said to me that I had to say that I love Jesus to live. I'm like, oh yes, I love Jesus. Hello, I was just praying.
Yeah.
Your Jesus specifically? Absolutely.
I want to live. No, and I'm not saying anything about, how things went down, but I'm just like, nope, I'm here to live.
Yeah.
See you in court later.
Yeah.
And Christians did that in the first century when Pliny the Younger was arresting them and torturing them to get information on where they were hiding and when they were doing services and everything. And he was like, "I'll let you go if you offer." I think it was like a grain offering. He was like, "Give this offering to the Roman gods, and you can go, or I'll kill you." And just about everybody was like, "I just have to burn this stick, or I die to death." Yeah, I'll burn the stick. Yeah,
they were like,
most of them gave it.
It wasn't such a, I don't think it was such a big deal, like as things are made to be, have turned into be, because of their own volition. This is all they're doing. It's some kind of sick cycle. It's some kind of, there's got to be some kind of, what's that chart? Some kind of chart where it shows how this all intertwines.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't make it, but
Venn diagram.
I can make a pie chart.
Yes, like a Venn diagram. I am not smart enough to create one, but there's got to be like a conspiracy pipeline, persecution kink. It's all got to be in there somehow.
What about Hitlerism versus nationalism, Trumpism, and all that shenanigans? Do you think we're heading more towards Hitlerism?
I think they're out and proud, man. Honestly, I don't think they're afraid to be out and proud. These freaking Nazis.
They're even out and proud here in Canada.
You got a lot of that too?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of Trump supporters here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they protest the government and radio stations and hospitals or whatever?
Oh yeah. Why would you be why is it that interesting to you in Canada to be?
It was so interesting.
So
what
weird.
is Trump
Why would they
move from up there?
I don't know. It was fascinating. Our politics are so boring.
I've heard
compared
that Canada watches our politics because of how boring.
Oh yeah. Oh, we had a big. Yeah, we watched it. It was
oh yeah. Don't you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's the most Canadian response right there.
Oh yeah.
I'm very Canadian at times.
I do not like how, actually, I was really kind of pissed because I thought the Canadian government was pretty cool, but then I've realized how shit they've handled a lot of the Indigenous residential schools.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not happy with you, Canada. Not happy with you.
Yeah.
Did the Pope really wear the headdress? I saw a picture of him wearing the head. Was that for real?
Yeah. That was a mistake.
Oh, I didn't see.
Oh,
yeah, that was.
It just makes me vomit in my mouth.
Indigenous people were pissed at him for that. I was like, okay, good, because I was pissed, but I wasn't sure if I was allowed to be pissed at that.
So he really did do that.
I was like,
why would you do that?
Right? Okay.
What a piece of shit.
I don't know. And you know what? I think it all has to do with the fact that the Indigenous, there's a Child Welfare Act that's on the chopping block with SCOTUS. And I don't know, because my husband's like, I don't know, maybe he seems like a pretty good guy. He's been doing, and I said, yeah, he actually seems like fairly okay. But we don't know how he could be having people in his ear saying, oh yeah, this is the perfect time to go apologize. And so people let their guards down, don't realize how important this act is. And, they just forget about it and don't realize Indigenous people are still under attack. That's what I think. I just am not fooled by it. So I think it's all shenanigans, but
usually is, especially
show me the money.
Well, yeah.
I want to see some real change. Show me some money. Give them the land back.
There you go.
If you have treaties, then you need to abide by those treaties. Point blank period.
Yeah.
That's how you can really show you're sorry. And I'm sure he has pool. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I think going back
Canada.
to
Canada. Blame Canada from
Damn
South
it.
Park.
I think going back to the Trump Hitler question, it's I've studied a lot of propaganda because for some reason I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And like I was talking about Joseph Goebbels, like he's the one who said, if you repeat a lie and repeat it long enough, eventually everyone will start believing it. Like he's the one who said that. That's Fox News. It doesn't matter how batshit crazy it is. If you say it long, like they've been saying the election's rigged this entire time. It's stolen. They have not backed down from that position. And they're not going.
They don't even know how it's rigged. They don't even have, they're just like, we know, we believe. And John F. Kennedy Jr. is coming back. And Michael Jackson is alive, but because gematria. Did you see that video too?
Yeah. And the shit that Trump and Tucker Carlson say, I'm telling you, is straight out of Mein Kampf. Man, fucking straight out of that bitch.
It's really?
It's horrifying. Yeah. Like, don't read the whole thing, but there's like a propaganda chapter in Mein Kampf. And if you read it, you're like, holy shit, this is the Fox News playbook right here. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's nuts.
I'm sure there's been people who have done that comparison with Trump and
I'm sure
that dude. I'm pretty positive because I'm sure I've read some stuff about it, and that's
history repeating itself is all it is, and we just go through a cycle. Here we go again.
Yes, because we never want to face the real truth. If we would just fucking rip the scab off, accept the truth for what it is, and make the changes, it'd be fine. But everybody wants to fucking be a victim.
It's important to point out that there is, and I'm going to say some unpopular words right now. There is an economic aspect of atheism. We all want to say that atheism is just not believing in any deity, but on a sociological sense, there are certain conditions where atheism thrives. Like once again, in the Nordic countries, right, where there isn't a large disparity between rich and poor, where secular societal institutions are strong. So if you're voting for tax cuts, if you're voting to slash spending from public schools, you are voting for Christofascism. That's what you're doing. If you're a big L libertarian, congratulations, you've been fooled by the Christofascists. You're just useful tools, basically.
It's like a pipeline. It's a pipeline.
Yeah.
So if we were able to stop these politicians from lying, how would you guys go about doing it?
Man. you actually have to talk to people. I mean, I'm a parent. I'm a parent. I'm sure that there are a couple of other parents here, not on here, watching. Is that it's important to talk about things with your kids. You cannot just trust the school system to have them teach about ad hominem attacks, logical fallacies, about basic history. You cannot trust them to do that. And when you see something, when you're watching TV with them and you see something that's a teachable moment, put it on pause and just talk about it, and then go back on. And this is the way how you insulate people from fascism. This is how you insulate people from these toxic myths.
Let children develop those critical thinking skills that I wasn't really able to develop. Like I'm now trying to really figure all that out, because it was just something that is every door's blocked. Like every time you just hit a wall continuously, you're
Jesus wall.
Circle back around. Yeah, it's a
called the Jesus wall.
Yeah,
that is so good.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Build the wall. Tear that one down, please.
Yes.
So many walls.
And to elaborate on what Andrew was saying.
System. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. To elaborate on what Andrew was saying, talk about it. Like I made a TikTok a while back that went viral, and it was about who was it that was trying to ban TikTok from the United States? This was like a month or so ago. But yeah, they were like, they're trying to ban TikTok, and like, why? And I was like, because they're afraid they're losing control of the narrative. See, when you have all these news happens and it goes to a major news outlet, you have to have people read it, see what's happening, produce a show, go on air, and then report it. By then, it's fucking old news. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. I'm trying to stop. But when you have like on TikTok, you have people who are reporting what's happening while they're there, or immediately after. Like so by the time the news is like this is happening, everyone's like, yeah, we know, and what you're saying is bullshit. Like you can see when we spin it, because I just watched a video of someone was there, like, so they're losing control of the narrative. So talk about it.
I think that's huge. We just need to start talking about these kind of things with people. I know people, it's always like the taboo subjects that we shouldn't talk about, but at this point it's kind of getting to like, it is life or death for many people. It has been life or death. So while we still have pants on our asses, we really should start talking. I don't know why
I like that.
They're going to steal our pants. We're coming for their guns. They're coming for our pants. I believe it.
Yeah. Thank you. But while we have the opportunity and still have a voice, and us as women still have some rights, and especially like our LGBTQIA friends, like, oh my gosh, I feel so terrified for them right now. So we'd be doing them a disservice to not start up conversations, as hard as they are, man. Just the dialogue is good. Maybe get them out of that echo chamber they're in.
You know, and I think what's important is telling your own story, telling your story. That is the most powerful thing that you have in terms of your experiences with fundamentalist religion. You know, that's what they tell you in Extinction Rebellion, right? Which I'm a big fan of Extinction Rebellion. They say you should go out and tell your story about how this issue affects you. And that's the most powerful weapon you have.
That's good advice. Point. Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Now I'm going to have to make a TikTok about it again.
Yes.
My personal story.
And it's just helpful for yourself too.
Does Canada think we're as messed up as I do? Wes says.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for all of Canada, but personally, I like the United States. I've always had a special spot in my heart for the U.S. I love going there. So I don't think you're as messed up as I think you are, but I hope, I don't know.
We're as messed up as you think.
Okay.
I accept it.
Yes, we've accepted.
I don't know. It's definitely not the greatest, but I still love the U.S. So,
well, despite what Christofascism teach, though not a Christian, I love the land that I live on. I just wish that the government respected us.
Yeah.
The people.
We were one election. I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but we were one election away from going full blown down the crapper. If Donald Trump had gotten another presidency, because if you look in history, you know, it's the first term where they start working through, you know, grinding down the democratic institutions, and it's like the second term. That's when the real craziness happens. And when you look at what happened in the last election cycle, you can see shadows of what would occur if he ever got back into office, or if someone smart like DeSantis, someone who looks at the playbook and goes, I can be a smarter version of Donald J. Trump. And they work that system. And that's how close we were, in my opinion, at least.
That's what scared me about watching.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, I think we were always in a dark place in this country behind the scenes. Like, nobody was out and proud with their racism. But when Donald Trump came along, I think he flipped that switch and gave people permission to start being loud and proud. And as they saw that there wasn't this huge pushback, they realized that they had some strength in numbers. And now I think they're growing like crazy. But
yeah, what scares you is, well, lucky enough they weren't smart enough to act together or be cooperative with each other enough to actually do anything. So that's what I'm scared of, is they're actually going to form and actually start thinking and doing, you know, smart things to help their.
This is like a trial run.
Yeah,
they're
scary.
They know what not to do next time. They can do it better. That's what scared me about the January 6th hearings. I've watched all of them, and it's just it shows you got to see how close this actually kind of might have happened.
10 feet or something? We were like 10 feet away from
it was there, dude.
Yeah,
it was there, dude.
they tried to put in like shadow electorates to like change the votes in other states. I'm like, holy shit, they did that. They just did that, and it almost worked. Like, oh, it's that easy.
Well, it's important to point out that the Nazis, the National Socialists in Germany, they tried to take over the country in 1923. It took them 10 years, in the Great Depression to basically get into power and seize control of Germany. So just because we were able to avoid this brush with this kind of Christofascism doesn't mean that if things go south in terms of economics, doesn't mean that we're not going to have to fight the very same battles again in 10 years.
Oh yeah. Or even, as Beej Bryce here says, when Trump gets jailed, what's going to happen then? See how crazy they go over just one little FBI search.
Please,
they
Lord,
might actually try to start a civil war then.
Please, Lord.
Well, yeah. Can you imagine? Well, holy cow! I wonder what they're going to do in Canada. You have to keep us informed, Stacey.
Yes, I will. I'll be your Canada reporter.
That's about.
I think jailing Trump would be great. I think that you gotta Democrats. This is just my personal opinion, have a tendency of not being on offense enough. And that's why they get creamed so often by Republicans. And you can say a lot about Joe Biden, but he's been assertive with his legislation and getting the ball moving. But yeah, if you can jail Trump, you should jail Trump.
Let's hope they get him on the Mar-a-Lago documents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not punish somebody who deserves it? Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's going to be something little. It's going to be something like this whole keeping the records shit that's going to drag him down eventually. That's all. The
law that he put into place, or whatever it was that he
and the guy he set up in place. Yeah, like he's a crook. He's the worst. Didn't you put him there?
Right.
and now he can't find a lawyer because he has a reputation for not paying his lawyers.
Oh,
stop!
Yeah, no, so this is the thing.
I want to see him represent himself.
Espionage investigation by a former president. But
he's always not paid people. Like, dude's had bankruptcies.
That's what killed me.
Has not paid contractors.
My dad was really big into Trump because he's a businessman, and I was like, Dad, he did not pay his contractors. What he would do is he would go into a building and be like, I don't like that you did this. I'm not paying you. And then that's it. That company would go bankrupt and he gets to keep the building for free. He did that shit all the time. Like, and he's a businessman that you want running the country? Really?
Yeah. Right. That's dirty.
Like he made Mexico pay for the wall.
Yeah. How'd that turn out?
And then Mexico turned around and told Biden, hey, we'll help pay for some extra security measures on the border wall. You remember that?
Oh, man. Andrew, what would it take? How much money would it take to bring you back?
I don't need a lot of money. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been able to cut back my expenses to a minimal amount, and it wouldn't take too much money. I'm not going to lie to you. That's all there is to it. Because right now I work a job, and it's overtime, and it's a physical job, and I'm doing the work. And me being able to be on YouTube. I mean, one of the things that makes it easy for me to be on YouTube tonight is because I have COVID. That's why I keep coughing.
Oh, right.
So,
oh no. We'll get better soon, man.
No. Yeah.
Well, we're ending the end of the show anyways. Why don't you go ahead and plug your stuff, Andy, since you started? Where can we find you?
I'm on Only Sky. Only Sky is a great secular site. You have Hemant Mehta, the Friendly Atheist, blogging on that site.
Why do I think it was going to be like an OnlyFans, but it was
That's next week. He starts.
I'm not against.
Are you showing movies of the Bible or something?
To tell you the truth, I was thinking about doing an OnlyFans just so conservatives could yell at me for like an hour or like 5 minutes or so, and then I would charge them just so that they could yell at me. So you can find me on Only Sky. My name is Andrew Hall. Thanks for having me on, by the way. I always love coming on. You can find me on Twitter at LaughPurgatory. And once again, thanks again. And this has been a lot of fun.
Andy, the smartest man in the room. Fundy Stacy, where can we find your stuff at?
TikTok and Twitter under the same handle. So yeah. And here on occasion.
Co-hosting it up.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, welcome. That's right. I didn't even think about it. Welcome.
Yes,
Ooh,
thank
welcome to the
you.
team.
Thank you so
Captain Dadpool, where can we find you?
Pretty much everywhere. TikTok,
Everywhere.
Twitter, Instagram, Discord. I stress myself pretty thin. But I also have a YouTube channel. I've been sending out a bunch of emails to different scholars to come on the show so I can interview them. So I'm hoping to hear back. I've heard back from a couple, but haven't scheduled anything. Anyway, I'm hoping that fun things are coming in the near future. Yeah.
Awesome. Keep it up, man. Don't stop. Rion, where can we find your stuff at?
Well, right now my TikTok account is back up. They had let a whole bunch of content violations come through. It was probably about 20 content violations. Somebody just went through and
Oh my gosh.
report. Yeah, I logged into my account and it was like, nope, you're banned. So anyway, Tax the Churches is my name on TikTok, or A Sandwich, because I have a few different accounts. So follow all of them, because you never know when they'll attack me again. On Twitter, I am Anat Yahoo, the beautiful goddess Anat. And yeah, I have Rion Cultastic, which is my YouTube channel. So I'd love for you to follow me there. And I just started a new endeavor called Apostate Coalition here on YouTube with hopefully a bunch of ex-cult people. And we're hoping to maybe kind of unite and create like a hub for healing, friendship, community, but also maybe points of action where we can start going after these churches like legally.
Good.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to take time, but yeah, that's the hope.
That's fantastic. Any final thoughts today on our topic today, guys? Any final thoughts?
Go out and vote. Register to vote. Make sure you're still on the voter polls.
Vote.
Just go vote.
Teach your kids to think, not what to think. Absolutely. I'd like to thank today's patrons: Phil, Aaron, Sunny Shell, Cindy Plaza, Kathy Cotton, Bryce, Deborah, and Deborah Grace. There it is. Thanks, guys. I'm Mike Wiseman. I can also be found at thebiblesayswhat.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. I forgot my tagline. Spay and neuter your pets. That's what it was. Bye.